Ben Youngs, hand off, and the finish.
Hello and welcome to the British and Irish Lions Den. I'm going to be talking with Ben and Tom Youngs today, a mighty combination for the 2013 tour to Australia. We're going to be talking all things Lions, brothers and family on tour, as well as looking at Ben's decision not to tour in 2017 to stand by his family at a very difficult time. I'm very excited to be talking to you both because there's not been many brother allegiances, brothers going on tour together on the Lions, and I was fortunate enough to film you guys in 2013. Have you got any knowledge of how many other brothers or who the other brothers are that have toured with the Lions?
Underwoods.
Hastings go, did they?
Yeah.
Have Billy and Mako done it?
No,
Billy got injured. He was named.
Oh, he got injured. Yeah,
yeah.
There's got to be. I'd say I don't know. There'll be a few more, wouldn't there?
There's a couple more that I know of. So there's the Wallaces, who've probably got the most number. I've spread off quite a big spread of tours for those guys. The Wallace guys, and they were forwards and backs. And then you've got Jim and Finlay Calder in the 80s. So the twins there, but I haven't found any others yet. So you're a rare breed.
A rare lot. That's good.
Yeah, and even more rare considering your backs and forwards. Obviously, Tom, you've got experience in the backs, but I was just looking back at some of the tour clips, and you know, for you guys, what is that like? You obviously play rugby together a lot, so it might not be that different. But you know, getting the call up, I was in the selection meeting, and I knew you before you guys did, which is quite nice to know. But you know, what was that like finding out? Where were you? And you know, what did it mean to get selected for the Lions tour together?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think for any player, you know, you go through the steps and you want to play club rugby, and once you get club rugby and you get a taste of international, you know, once you get that and you know it's the Lions, you do everything you can to put your hand up for selection. And I remember we had training that morning. We were doing units. I was outside with the backs. Tom was outside with the forwards, and we'd finish always normally about 30 minutes before the forwards as a surprise. And we will then going into a team meeting with the backs, and the Sky Sports News, I think, or whoever was on, and the squad was getting announced. So we were waiting for this meeting, but we wouldn't go in until it was all got read out. So I think they did the forwards first. So I found out that Tom was going first, and then the back second. So it was just, it was incredible. Obviously, there was a good few Leicester people that got selected for that tour in the forwards, and they were all training, and they had absolutely no idea. So and a great feeling. Obviously, being surrounded by your teammates and everyone as well. So you know, everyone was just patting you on the back, and immensely proud of you that someone from their club was going to go on the tour. Yeah, no,
as Ben said, we were still training as per usual. The backs going early, but you know, Richard Cockrell, basically at the end of what we train at the training session, the unit session, he told us. Obviously, someone ran out to tell him and informed us that we were going. So myself, Crofty, Jeff Parling, we're off. Coley, we're off on tour, and you know, the boys gave us a good round of applause, shook our hands. So it was really nice, actually. As Ben says, you know, they were just incredibly happy for us to have that opportunity to go and do it, and we were incredibly proud to be able to go and do it. And it was nice, as Ben says, to do it with the guys you've played along, you know, helped you on your journey so much, to be able to have the opportunity to go to be selected, and you know, you're a player in a team, and you're only as good as everyone else around you helping you along.
Who did you tell first? You know, when you first found out, who's the go-to to, you know, you guys obviously knew straight away together, but
I would say most of the family were probably glued to the TV waiting for it to be announced. So obviously text messages came pretty thick and fast, but obviously speak to Tiffany, speak to mum and dad, were probably the key people to go and speak to, and probably actually just speak to each other about it and sort of try and digest the sort of the dream which you've been dreaming all your life and watching, you know, living the Lions. 1997 stands out massively. and watched that on over and over and over again, and suddenly you were then about to embark on this 2013 tour to Australia with the British and Irish Lions. So yeah, I think it was took some digesting and some understanding, really, in some regards.
I think what highlights how big the Lions is as a whole is the fact that I do remember at the time that when you did it, you sort of bombarded by text messages from people and everything, just wishing you well done and how proud they were and stuff. And you think, oh my goodness, just how big it is and just how proud you made sort of everyone to achieve that.
Are there kind of more nerves than going into international cap? Going into England cap, you're obviously everyone's the best in their country, and the kind of nerves like first day of school. Was it quite nice having quite a good Leicester group? A good group of people that you already knew.
I think it's always good to have some familiarity with you, in terms of knowing not just the Leicester lads that were going, but also the other English contingent that was going. All the other guys, you played against either at club level in European matches or internationally. And I guess it's the same for everyone. You go in there knowing that you've got to gel as a team and buy into the whole program and what Lion stands for. So, but there is definitely that apprehension of walking in and having to, say hello, and you're suddenly going to be teammates with people that you're used to playing against, and that sort of whole experience. The day one, I think we met down in London for a kit fitting and photos and everything like that, and the Six Nations hadn't finished not long before that, so it was sort of strange, sort of daunting, but once you sort of, everyone was always so welcome, everyone's in the same boat, and it kind of get those first engagements over, and then you're kind of all ready to go into it.
Yeah, massively. I was pretty nervous going in there. I'd only made my international debut that year, and it was a hell of a year, and it kind of all came pretty thick and fast. And to suddenly be standing the lights with Paul O'Connell and Sam Warburton and Brian O'Driscoll, to name a few, it was pretty, to suddenly realise that you're standing with these guys, and it was a massive honour. And I was nervous, but as Ben has alluded to, the big thing is, and Gats said it at the beginning, we've got to gel quickly and to become a team as quick as possible, and then we did that. Obviously, we're a very tight knit group, and it was great.
And you got quite a lot of airtime, Tom, in the selection meeting. They seem to be very impressed with your rucking capability. You got a big fan in Andy Farrell. So we're in the UK for what, 2 weeks, is it? So we're a week at the Vale, I think, and then some time in Ireland, and how quick. And then we had to go to Hong Kong. Remember, we had the first game in Hong Kong. That was quite an adventure, wasn't it? It was a bit different, and the humidity was ridiculous. I just remember you came on in that game and were absolutely blowing at the end. I think,
it was the hardest conditions I've ever played in to this day. It was just horrendous. Yeah. We'd actually missed the 2 weeks before that because we were playing the Prem finals. So it was even more important for us to to get on board and to meet and mingle with people as quick as possible. So we played the final on the Saturday, won that, and then we stayed down in London and we're meeting up that Sunday morning with a crew. It was nice that we got. That the condition of Hong Kong, we got over there. We all went out for a few drinks. I remember training the next day. The huddle, by the end of it, we're all pretty much holding each other up, because I think we're all a bit hungover and the humidity was what it was, the temperature what it was, and we had a skinful the night before, so we were struggling a little bit.
And there was a lot of talk at the beginning of everyone having a crack at the whip. Did you feel like that was kind of happening? Did you feel like okay, we're coming into the squad, everyone wants a game early on? Obviously, you guys had come from the finals and stuff. And did you feel that was kind of happening? Did you feel like you had a chance, or did you feel like you were maybe on the back foot by coming into the squad a bit later? Did you feel that?
I think it's always difficult when the calendar year does make it hard, and when you're in a final, you obviously do miss those first 2 weeks, so you are kind of playing catch up a lot, which probably not ideal. But having said that, Gats was very open that everyone would play. Certainly the first 2 games, everyone would get some minutes and their chance to play. Which was great. And I think you watch everyone play. I didn't play in the first game, and you're watching everyone else play, and you're thinking, I just want to get out there, just want to get a game under my belt for the Lions. You know what I mean? And don't pick up any injuries or nothing stop you from being able to do that. And I think once you get that first game in, you then just, away you go, you feel a part of it, I guess. Once you've played, you are a part of it, but until you've actually played some minutes, you don't fully feel a part of it, I guess. And then once you do that, away it goes. And as everyone knows about Lions tours, the games come thick and fast, midweek Saturday, and you just kind of off you go.
Obviously, I kind of played straight off the bat, didn't I, in that?
Yeah.
So I had a lot to learn in a week. So maybe going out wasn't the best option when you've got to try and revise the lineouts and stuff like that. But no, so I had quite a lot to learn, and that's probably where it was. But we're all professional guys. Everything sort of molds into the same thing with just different names. You just got to learn them as quick as possible.
Was it unusual to kind of? Did you notice a different kind of cultures amongst the different countries, the 4 nations? Was there a kind of different kind of vibe between the different guys?
No, I don't think so. I felt that the Irish boys and probably the Welsh boys were at that time ahead of us English boys regarding their analysis of the game and how much detail they did on that. That's one thing I probably took away from the Lions tour, was how much they looked at players and looked at the way teams played a little bit. Probably naively, I didn't do much of that previously, but definitely took that from the tour. And I think that part of the game has only grown since then, I'd say, in the English side of things. So, yeah, but as you say, like, it's funny, like, we're all from different countries, different places, but the one thing we do love is rugby. And obviously being on the British and Isles tour, it doesn't come much bigger than that. So, yeah, it was... and actually the fans as well, how you probably... cross paths in very much different ways with the Welsh, especially in some regards when you go down there as an Englishman, and then suddenly for them to be patting you on the back and supporting you, that was a wonderful, massive family feel to it, I suppose.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of pressure on that tour. If now you guys actually won, it doesn't seem, I guess, in the midst of time, doesn't actually seem that way. But going into it, there had been at the end of the Lions tour 2009 talk that the Lions might not continue. We hadn't won for 16 years. Did you feel any of that kind of weight, or was it just you're just happy to be there to enjoy it and just did it not really factor?
No, I think there was definitely always that element of expectation. I think also that the Australian team as such were kind of a team that you deem that you should have an opportunity to win a series against. That's how I certainly saw it, and I think that we're able to go on and do that. But like you mentioned there, I think there was a lot of chat about whether the Lions would continue. Should it continue? Is there too much in the calendar year? Especially around that time, there was a lot of talk about that. And, how does it fit into the rugby calendar? So there was also a huge obligation. I also felt from the players that have been on a number of tours, for me and Tom, it was the first Lions tour we've ever been on. So listening to those guys that had gone to South Africa the time before that, New Zealand the time before that, you really sense that they felt like it was, and obviously Drico went, in the tour before that with Australia, going full circle. So I felt more from those guys this real desire and sense of like it's time to win a series with the Lions. I definitely felt that from that senior group.
I totally agree with that. Definitely, and I actually think that probably made it that much more special in some regards. So yeah, that senior guy group definitely talked about that a lot, and I think being rugby fans and as we are, we kind of knew that in the back of our head how important this tour was for the future of the Lions.
Yeah, because I mean, in 2009, it was such a good Lions side and such a good series, and I really felt that actually Paul O'Connell, Brian O'Driscoll, and Warby and all the senior leader guys, as you say, the guys that have been there and done it and had not yet ever achieved the Lions series win. It was something that was brewing, wasn't it? And it in hindsight, it's all quite nice to look back. But they weren't necessarily, it was kind of, I think, expected that you should kind of go there and win. But they, the Australians are a very good side, and I remember there's, out of all the players, it was Will Genia was the one that kept coming up in the meetings to target as a threat as well. Is that something you kind of picked up on as well?
Well, for me, Will Genia's probably been the best scrum half in the last decade. I think he's just been unbelievable the way that he's changed that 9 role. For me, he's been just world class throughout his career, and he's been the one that I feel that every 9's always been chasing. And Genia was such a key heartbeat of Australia as he has been for the last decade, and that's why I deem him as the best 9 that there has been in the last 10 years. Certainly in the last 10 years. There was always going to be that pressure, especially with how Andy Farrell likes to defend. It's a real aggressive defence. Us English boys, obviously, Andy was our coach at that point in England, and we understood what type of defence he liked to play, so we knew that we had to put pressure on halfbacks, try and take their time and space away. The other guys, obviously Falau, that was his first ever exposure to union, his first caps, wasn't it? And he sort of exploded onto the scene with 2 tries in that first test as well. So, Australia, one thing they always have is a huge attacking ability, huge, really dangerous. But I think where Lions probably came out on top in the end was just that forward power and being able to kind of outmuscle them, which ultimately got the series in the bag, really.
I remember Falau because he was explosive as well, and so although a lot of the meetings seemed to be about just trying to stop Genia, really, which I can now kind of understand. But Falau, I remember you talk about the analysis, Tom, and I remember them saying, he always steps one direction if you get him in this place, so expect him to kind of step in on that side. I don't know, I'll have to dig that out of the archive, but I just seem to remember them. I was thinking, even he could step whichever way he wanted for me, and I'd never even lay a finger on it.
No, it's always a good one when they say that they only step one way, but they forget to say how good they are at stepping that way as well, and how they make you fall anyway. He's going to step. Yeah, he's gone past me. Yeah, there he goes. I knew he was going to do it. I just still couldn't stop it.
Yeah. And for you, what is it about the Lions that's so special? That was a really great tour, and it's a great tour. All of the places are pretty special to go to. I'm sure you guys have played in all of them, but what was it about that tour? What really sticks out for you in 2013?
I think one is obviously the guys that went. The group that was there were absolutely fantastic group of people, not just the players, because often people just talk about the players, but everyone involved in that whole tour, including yourself, mate. Everyone made it so enjoyable. I think Australia is a fantastic country. One of, in my opinion, the best place to tour. The fans, the amount of people that come and travel with you, having your family, having a brother there. It just, for me, it was just, couldn't really have been better, really.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think what's so special about it all is that group of players, and there's, maybe some staff, but that group will never be together again in that circumstances, on that sort of tour, doing that sort of thing. And our second, I think Australia's a great country to do it with Ben, to then have all our family there, wives, girlfriends, mother and father-in-laws, all that. It was just fantastic, and there's just so many great memories when I think back to it. Just brings a smile instantly to my face. So many great people who I remain friends with for a long time, and still are, and it only takes to get together with them and to enjoy the times again. And it was just so special, and then to win it on that as well, with the fans out there and stuff, it was just fantastic. And it's not one moment; it's the collective, the whole 6 weeks. I think it was. It was, the whole thing was just brilliant.
Yeah, and it was pretty amazing as well from a story point of view that it went to the third test. We kind of got a bit lucky in the first test to win, and then probably a bit unlucky in the second test to lose. And I don't think I've ever heard a stadium as loud as that second test. Wellington in 2017 was pretty loud, but I just don't think I've heard it. The roof was shut. It was just, electric. And I can see there's a shot of you, Ben, on the sideline next to Sam, who'd come off injured, and it's just the drama and theatre of it all is pretty special. But that, because it went 1-1, and then it kind of, we had that weekend off in Noosa, which was, had a couple of nights off, which was needed, and a bit of a release. And then, I don't know, just a pretty serious training session that everyone, like all the squad, kind of put themselves fully into, to making sure that, whoever took the pitch would win.
Yeah, I think actually, and again, going back to what I said, just alluded to earlier, like that whole group and the way Ben to the backroom stuff dealt with, to lose the second test and still go, the Gats are still back and go to Noosa and have some fun and just chill out, and then, as you say, Ben, we had a real big training session, and you could just tell we were ready for it and we were going to win it. But yeah, the way that all panned out back end of that was, is sort of, would make a great drama, wouldn't it? Well, obviously you did sort of record most of it, but it's fantastic the way it went 1-1 in the second test, and then build up the third test. And for the coaching staff, and Gats are still back, his plan of attack of going to Noosa, having some fun, and then getting back on the training field, very short week, one training session, I think, possibly, and then into a team run and ready to play.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, you got a good memory, and also
Thanks,
just I look at the second. I look at half time as well, and that was just unbelievable because it was so close. It was all to play for, and I don't know. There was a real edge and atmosphere in our dressing room at half time, and it was just bubbling away, and then it just kind of unleashed, and you guys scored a load of points.
Well, I think that second half they nearly scored, didn't they? At the beginning of the second half, I think Lids actually was the one who made a tackle and knocked the ball, which the ball came loose. And that just shows how that probably, if they'd scored then in that third test, we'd be having a very different conversation regarding the tour. I think, because and then obviously we then managed to get back on top, and away we went.
Yeah. And for you, Ben, that last kind of week, how kind of special was that to kind of know that you're there with your bro, on the tour and getting involved in a live series? Because I remember, Tom, at the end, you said to me, I think on the end of the pitch, can't believe it, we've won. It's like genuinely, a bit of disbelief. And as you said, it's a big year. But Ben, how was that last week in Noosa and then coming to the game for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, the strength of the team was the buy-in from all the players, wasn't it? And I was lucky to be involved with the first test, then start the second, and third I was not needed. And I was watching the whole game, and watching is always hard because you watch it as a fan, but everyone's out there, what the plan is and all that, and it's very nerve-wracking. I was just delighted for the team and everyone that we got the series and we won, and I was able to contribute along the way to doing that. And like I say, I think everything's, you play the midweek 10, but everything's geared towards the test matches. Everything's geared around winning the series. That is the most important thing. And for the boys to achieve that as a group was fantastic. And, we were then able to, I didn't think we flew back till actually the Wednesday. So we had a fair good go at it, celebrating. And and then we flew back, and you do that amazing experience. It's awesome. And then it's sort of back to sort of normality, I guess.
Yeah, and it was. I think that was the biggest strength of that series. Was it was a real squad effort, and I wasn't there in 2005, but there were definitely rumours that it was like a two-tier kind of thing going on, which I don't know, didn't really obviously work because we got thrashed. But it did feel like that. That was a very cohesive squad, and everyone. And there was a lot of people disappointed. The team had changed quite a lot for that last game, and obviously there's that personal disappointment. But it did seem like there was a genuine genuine brotherhood, I guess, if we're talking about brothers. And then also there's a lot. I seem to remember quite a lot of farmers on that tour, which see a lot of talk about tractors and
yeah, we're having a good chat. We're having a good chat out there. So yeah, no, there was obviously Rory Best, Dan Lydiate. We were all having a good chat about farming, which is always nice to sort of take your mind away from rugby at times and talk about other bits and bobs. So yeah, it was good.
After the win, what was the best thing about having one? Obviously, having your family there, that's got to be up there. James Bond in the dressing room, and Downing Street when you got home. Out of all that, was it all a bit of a whirlwind, or does it take a while to sink in?
Forgot about Downing Street.
Yeah. I just enjoyed the time with the family, and then I especially enjoyed the time with that group of players, and enjoying a few beers and letting it sink in a little bit of what we'd achieved as a group.
I think as well, like our domestic season starts in September. Lions tour doesn't finish till it's normally about July, isn't it? About mid-July it finishes.
Yeah.
It's a long old stint. So you sort of not only sort of celebrating the tour as such, but you're kind of also like that the season's done and you got some downtime to look forward to, and you kind of just we don't get the opportunity too often to kind of let loose and let off the steam, and like most rugby lads, we do enjoy that, but we don't get the opportunity too often. So come the end of the tour, it's sort of all steam ahead really, and we had plenty of guys that were very good at leading that charge and example, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it's it was nice to kind of catch up with everyone at Downing Street. I found some quite interesting clips of you and Crofty seem to be enjoying yourselves there, Ben. And then, it was just nice to get that kind of little get together. But if there was one takeaway from you, what would it be for the Lions in that squad? How would you sum up that squad in a few words?
I just think that what the squad was really good at, like you did have a lot of young guys there. I was 23 at the time, and there was a lot of guys similar to my age around me at that time. And obviously you had the senior guys, but I think it was just a collective buy-in of just trying to achieve something for the shirt. And like we mentioned earlier on this, that that expectation of the Lions was heightened because of it was potentially getting questioned whether should it continue to exist. So there was that, and I just think everyone kind of closed in even more, got tighter together about the big picture of making sure that this special thing that happens every 4 years, that we're not the last group to do it. And I guess that kind of, it does sound cliche and cheesy, but ultimately that's what it was really. It was about us lot making sure that the Lions were really successful, so that it doesn't ever come under question again whether it should exist in the rugby calendar.
Well, it was really important. I also actually just thinking back, I just remember I think I sent it to you, your Melbourne Rebels try. That was quite an important game. Lids was captain of that game in Melbourne. And that also seemed like a kind of key turning point, just in terms of the, the atmosphere in the camp. It was quite a big moment, I think, that game, and that week was got quite a funny fines meeting with Zebo and all of that. But, that victory was pretty good, and your try was pretty sensational.
No, thanks, mate. No, you know what? That was the last midweek game as well.
Yeah, it was.
So, for a lot of us, we weren't sure whether we would play again. That game, actually, when I scored the try, actually really sort of damaged my shoulder.
Best throws, confidence right back, picking out Croft. Oh, Ben Youngs, hand off, and the finish.
Because I was running to score, and I knew the two guys were closing in on me. And I couldn't go left or right. I literally just had to dive next to the post. And I literally smashed my shoulder against the post protector. And then I had like delayed sort of nerve damage, didn't I, Tom? It was only till about 3 weeks later, I couldn't lift my arm, and it wasn't ideal. But hey, you just got to score him. You got to find a way of doing it, even if it puts you out for a while with the old shoulder. But anyway, it's not about me. But the point is, that game was potentially the last for myself and for many others, and there was no more midweek games, so it was a special sort of atmosphere that week, and playing that game, and then obviously knowing that we were then playing the weekend at the Allianz, was it Allianz Arena, that game, the second test?
It was big,
Allianz Stadium, sorry, and yeah, so just sort of the whole week was a really enjoyable week in Melbourne. It's a great city, isn't it? So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I just quickly want to just talk about 2017. I remember, at the time, Ben, you were selected, and Tom, you were having a very difficult time, at home personally. I think on both Lions tours that, or all the times I've been, it's always been family first, and I think quite rightly that was the case here. But would you mind just telling us that story? Because I remember filming your bags, Ben, and obviously it was a no-brainer to stick with your family. But Tom, that must have been a very difficult time.
Oh, hugely, to be told that your wife, is got terminal cancer and there's nothing they can do, is a shock to anyone. And I sort of managed to sort of get by and finish the season. And obviously, fantastic. Ben got selected on the Lions tour and stuff like that. But I got by to finish the season off, not knowing if this was the last game she was going to watch me play and all these bits and bobs, but got through it. And to be fair, one thing, Ben, he never came and discussed with me or Tiff regarding his decision potentially not go on the Lions tour. He obviously made that decision himself, and to stay behind and not go on and we've already alluded to how much the Lions means to us, but to stay behind and to support me and to I spent some time with Tiff and Maisie, a little girl. We actually went to Centre Parks and we did a few things like that together, and it's fantastic. But for Ben to just to be so stand by my side and be a brother and stick with me was just fantastic. To so selfless in some regards, and just really to as I say, that was a very tough time. And I look back on it and I've got so many mixed emotions about it, and so many sort of, I don't know what I was doing, you know what I mean, or how I was feeling in some regards. But one thing I can say was what Ben did for me will always lay very in my heart for a long time, and will always owe him anything for it, because it was exactly what I needed, and potentially what Tiff needed as well, to just help us through a very tough time. And luckily, I said, alluded to this not so long back. I said, there's not many times you get to say a fairy tale ending, but I had a fairy tale ending. And to imagine that your wife is not going to be standing next to you, it's a very surreal moment. But now I can say that she stood next to me still now, and it's fantastic to be able to say that, and how well she's doing and how fit and healthy she's doing. She's now producing a website to try and help people who are going through similar situations. So that should be up and running soon. So do you know what I mean? She's now turned the whole corner and is now, life is sort of that shadow is gone, or that grey cloud you're pulling around and you're trying to, suppress it a little bit and trying to get through, and it's gone. And how different life is now for us as a family is I can't tell you. But, for Ben to not go on the Lions tour is an unbelievable act of brotherness. And, you cannot, that's great love, what he has. And fair play to him.
Yeah, I'm so, such an inspirational story, and I can't imagine the how difficult that must be. I mean, just even thinking about it, I start freezing up. So the fact that you guys and she must be so strong, and there's such an inspirational story. And we should definitely get our website details and make sure we share it on here. And,
it's Roots, so Roots Wellness. So it should be up and running soon, but we'll be announcing it soon. So again, it shows the sort of woman she is, and how she wants to now. She's gone through it, and she wants to try and help people as much as they can. And it might be the smallest things, or might be the matter of someone trying to buy a gift to someone. Look, unfortunately, cancer affects no end of people in the world we live in. And if there's little things you can do to help someone going through it, it's always greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Well, it's thanks for sharing that story, and it's just I'm just glad it has been a happy ending, and she's doing so well. It's just brilliant. And Ben, it's how what's your memory of that time and telling Gats and stuff? I think I spoke to Gats. Gats mentioned it once as being particularly inspirational for him. But
yeah, I mean, obviously we found out the news about Tiffany's diagnosis and what was expected before the tour was announced. Then listened to it on the radio when the squad was announced for the tour, and obviously got named. Said to my wife that I just said, like, there's no way I can go on this. I need to be with the family. I need to support Tom. I need to help Tiff. I need to be there as a brother for Tom, because we knew what was happening. And I spoke to Geordie Murphy about it. He'd gone on a Lions tour before, and I just needed a sounding board really for someone. I knew the answer, but I guess I just kind of wanted to chew the fat with someone. He's obviously an absolute fantastic guy. Someone that has got great advice, and and then I made that decision, like Tom said earlier. I didn't want to speak to him or Tiff about it. I just wanted to make the decision, and I rang Gats, and Gats, like anyone, who's extremely understanding, was extremely sad to hear the news of what was happening, and totally understood. And I just wished him and the boys the best of luck, and that was that. And then I just watched it as a fan, tuning in the games and watched it as a fan, and I never for a second watched it and thought, oh God, I wish I was there or anything like that. I knew where I needed to be, and I was there. And I was happy watching the boys do their thing, and to watch them go and draw a series in New Zealand was incredible. And good on them. And I look back now and think we got to do some awesome stuff together as a family, and they're fantastic memories. And now that we've come through that, as Tom said, that horrible dark cloud, which is not a happy memory for any of us. To be where we are now is great. And we kind of look forward to what's ahead, and it puts rugby in perspective and makes us enjoy what's always coming up.
Yeah, well, it's just it is such an inspirational story, and I'm just so glad it's got a happy ending, and you guys had a wonderful time, and hopefully all stronger for it. And we'll you're just unbelievable people, unbelievable brothers, and I think. I couldn't think of any two better tourists, and to be on that tour with you, so friendly, and great players, and great to witness all of that. And any aspirations to get your name in the hat to get in the ring 2021 and just?
Oh, I'd love to, but I feel I'm the wrong side of 30 now, mate. So no, look, it's funny. We've always said as a family. Obviously, look, Ben probably in the age group where he can probably still get that. But we always said as family that I never thought I'd actually play for Lions anyway, but always said since then that I'd love to go and travel South Africa with the Lions, to actually go and do it, and tour and watch the games and watch all that. So that's got a few mates who we keep talking about it, and I'm sure I'll be out there supporting, and would love to watch it all and watch the tests and really enjoy it from a fan's point of view even more so. And I'm sure I'll have a great crack. I'm sure I'll come back very overweight as well, being in South Africa, eating a lot of red meat and drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah. It's an incredible country, and it's you must have played there quite a lot. Then you going to be gunning for it? You still got that hunger?
Yeah, definitely. I think any player's always got the ambition to obviously play internationally and then get further on. As look, I mean, right now with everything going off at the moment in the world, it kind of seems a long way away. We need to get out playing first and foremost. But look, my ambition is to carry on playing for England and to play international rugby. On the back of that, if I get the opportunity to go on 2021, of course. If it's anything like my experience in 2013, it would be amazing, and like Tom says, got some great family friends who live out there, and we've got plenty of people that I'm sure would love to tour, and it'd be great if I was running about and they were able to watch. But look, it's all I can do is play and see what happens. But ultimately, I went in 2013 and had the best time ever. I didn't go in 2017, but had the honour of being selected. And if it doesn't happen in 2021, I'm still immensely proud to have done what I've done. So, I guess as a 30-year-old, you kind of sit back and think, what will be, will be.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you very much for talking to me about it, guys, and your experiences. It's been really fun to kind of, well, just see you both, and just catch up on it all, because I've forgotten quite a lot of it, and then I've been looking back through some of the archive, and it was a great tour and a great squad of people, and thank you very much for letting me shove a camera in your face fairly regularly, and not telling me where to go. But thanks very much, guys, and I'll let you crack on. Good to see you, boys.
Pleasure, mate. Always.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.